Hello, everybody. I'm Kipp Snow, Director of the Transportation Distribution Logistics Institute at the Community College of Baltimore County.
Hey, everybody. I'm Mike Singer, Community Manager, Baltimore and Chesapeake Bay Shipwatchers. Welcome to episode 60 of Two Guys Talking Ship podcast. How you doing?
I'm tired.
There's a lot of that going around. Between
work and kids and
yeah,
scouts, and it's just
yeah,
a lot of stuff going on. There's a lot of stuff going on in the port too. So that's status quo. I guess.
Yeah. So it's been a minute since the last one, but so lots to cover, tonight. And gosh, the Key Bridge, what's going on out there situation is so dynamic that it's almost, we need to be doing this every 4 days. I mean, we're not. But
right. But, I know that I took earlier. I guess it was the end of last week when the Neoliner was here, and I did take a quick loop underneath the old Key Bridge,
right
on the north side, and took took a couple of pictures, and was just amazed to see all the concrete piled up in the middle of the Beltway for what they were trying to do to take all of that off. It's just impressive itself. So anyway.
Right. Yeah, those were some cool pictures. We didn't get around to sharing those, did we?
No, we sure didn't. Well, and it was also a rainy day that day, so I'll see if I can't get back out there.
Well, here's an idea. I think the concrete's going to be there for a while.
True. Fair enough. It's not going anywhere anytime soon.
Yeah. Right. I think not. Hey, so if you're new to the channel of the podcast, watching on YouTube, give us a like, subscribe, or hit the bell to be alerted to new podcasts as they come available. So we're coming up on 400 subscribers.
Really? That much?
What?
Nice.
Well, we're in the northern 340s, 347, something like that.
Oh, okay. But still,
I remember when it went over 300, and then it was petering around 305, 310, 320. I don't know. Life got in the way, and there's 347. I don't know what happened.
All right. Something's working then.
Something's working. We're not just talking into the ether. Somebody's actually listening.
I know, right? People actually listen to this.
Well, you had a story.
I did have a story. So I was met with the Downtown Sailing Center end of last week.
Okay.
And so they are a nonprofit that helps educate the community about sailing. And so we're looking to see if there's any opportunities to partner. I think there are. I'm pretty excited about this. But right at the end, there was a mention about the podcast, and she said, is that you? And I was like, well, yeah. And I explained, what we're trying to do and to help educate the local community, and in the spirit of Helen Bentley. And, oh my gosh, you didn't, now I have to watch it. And I was like, people actually do watch this. It's pretty, people know about
it. At times it does seem like we're, talking into our kitchen or dining room walls, right? And
right.
Is anybody really listening? And so it is nice to hear when you actually get that confirmation that folks are actually paying attention.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Why don't we go ahead and get into our shipping updates? I know we got some numbers. We got a couple of things that happened in the port over the past week or so.
We got a lot to cover. So as we always do, these are the truck transactions at Seagirt. We take the numbers from every day, which are public, total them, divide them by 5, and come up with an average for that week, a daily average for that week. So the last 4 weeks, 3,455 transactions per day, 3,891 transactions per day. But that's with a 4-day holiday. We talked about that previously.
Right.
3,420 transactions per day. And then just this past week, ending November 1st, 3,265. So a little bit of a
dip there.
little bit of a dip there, and I hope that's just a temporary dip. Was kind of hoping to like pull up the website and take a look at this.
All right, so this is publicly available information. This isn't something that's special for us. You
Right?
can go to Ports America's website and put in the Port of Baltimore, or we can go to our Shipwatchers website. I think you
Right.
have that link up there, correct?
Yes. If you go to baltimoreshipwatchers.com, then there's a page called links. It's the third one down. Container ship schedule. Okay, and then this is off of that page.
Correct. And so you can come here and see the same truck transaction numbers on a daily live basis. This gets updated in real time.
Yes. And you have to refresh the website, but you can watch the numbers change,
tick up
as the cargo comes in during the day.
And we've gone to this page here before in the past to look at ship schedules, but they have their ship schedule, listed out in detail here. So it's pretty amazing that we have access to this level of information.
That is true. So, but look how lean this week is, and that's this week. That's not last week. So it looks like this week might be worse than last week. I hate to say that, but so here's the kicker. Go up to that little arrow on the right and let's look at December. This is what I always find fascinating. It's like they take all these ships and they park them on Friday and Saturday. It's kind of, I don't know this. It'd be great if we had a contact at Ports America, somebody that interface with the schedule that we could talk to, would be a really cool thing. Okay. But it's almost like they kind of park them here. And because, they're not doing 6 ships on a Friday and then 6 ships on a Saturday. Not happening. Right. Because that Ever Magna is there for 4 days. You can see that. Yeah. But anyway, and then eventually the schedule, it all kind of evens out and they find their place. It's kind of neat to watch the dynamics of it, right? So you're basically watching the planning process if you keep watching this. And you can go a couple months out and guess who's the only one on there? Those evergreen ships.
Yeah, because they're going and making their schedules a little bit further in advance.
And remember, they were the last one to come back. Remember that?
Yeah.
When the bridge came down, they were the last ones to come back. So that was interesting. All right. We got a lot to cover. Let's keep going.
All right. So along those lines, you had some kind of exciting news that you tried to post today about the Sapphire.
Well, and so I thought it was exciting news, is maybe because I hadn't had my coffee yet. So I'm up at 4 o'clock in the morning. So I'm up at 4 o'clock in the morning, like the sick individual that I am, and I see the Sapphire, the W Sapphire, the ship that had the explosion, that had the coal explosion, coming north up the bay, and it even said on it Annapolis Anchorage. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting, because remember when we heard at the port meeting and they were talking a little bit about the background about what went into how do you get a ship back up here? They're going to have to unload it. How do you unload how many thousands of tons of cleared cargo? Where do you put it? Where in the world, in the Baltimore harbor, are you going to find a place where you can dock a ship that has 50 feet of water that can actually unload it? Because all the other places are either designed to load coal or they're designed for containers. That's the only place they have 50 feet berths, or so I thought. So, but Ruckert has one. So, I don't think there's a prop bet for the W Sapphire unloading location in Vegas, but that's where I would put my money.
That's where you put your money. All right. Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens there. I mean, the other thing, and you kind of briefly touched upon it, was the business transaction associated with the actual cargo.
And customs and
this stuff is outside the commerce of the U.S. at this point. It's already been exported. How do when you're bringing it back, if you're bringing it back on land, and is it coming back in bond, or do you have to do a return? You've got duty drawbacks, potentially that you have to consider. There's a lot of moving parts here, and it's not just the vessel itself. You've got a number of other things that might have to
because
be
there's a whole system for importing and exporting, right? Mm-hmm. And there's a whole customs paperwork process that you have to go through. But I would think that the times where you have to bring a ship back and take the cargo off so you can load it on a different ship and then it leave again. And so how in the world, the system isn't set up for that, right? So
correct.
How in the world do you negotiate and work and plan that?
There are processes that you can follow for these temporary related transactions, but you still have to go and figure that information out, before you actually go through the process. Some of the work I did was with import and export compliance before I started teaching, and having to worry about proper harmonized tariff codes for everybody's eyes are now starting to glaze over.
Right,
but I mean that's a serious, as mundane as it is, and how many nights I fell asleep reading the CFR Code of Federal Regulations to learn this stuff. It's like but no, there is quite a bit that goes into these transactions.
So let me get back to the story. So on marine traffic, it said Annapolis Anchorage. I'm thinking, maybe they are getting closer to having a plan or getting closer to implementing the plan. And then someone later on today said, the bunkering tug Zeus is at the ship, is at the W Sapphire. And I'm thinking, well, why would she need fuel if she's not going anywhere? And just in my head, that didn't seem to add up to me. So guess what? She came up and got bunkers and went back down. Now, is it like you're out in the middle of the bay? You need fuel for generators.
They may be outside of the zone that allows them to just run everything constantly, and so they got to the point where they needed fuel, so they came up the bay because they know they can. They got service so that the bunkering barge doesn't have to go all the way to.
See, I don't.
Why would they not service it right there? I don't know.
Right, and so. What we need to do? We need to talk to our friends at Vane Brothers. I'm going to have to maybe message them tomorrow and see if they can elaborate to do the bunkering. They have some partnership or working agreement, and so I was just curious, because I think, well, gosh, it's a lot easier to take the bunkering tug and barge down the bay than it is to bring a ship up. I mean, that kind of doesn't, but that's what happened. Sure. So at least that what looks like happened came up, then you got to send a tug all the way down there.
Yeah, I'm sure that there's some reasoning.
I'm think that there's a very good reason. I just don't know what it is.
Sure.
Yeah, so that was interesting. Waking up early and every day you look at the ships that are coming and going in the bay, and look, there's the old Sapphire, been sitting there for a month and a half, not going anywhere. And then, what do you mean it's coming up the bay? What's going on? And I really thought it was going to be a lot more than bunkers. and it seems to be that's exactly what it was. It was just bunkers, and back down she went. So I'm assuming going back to the same place. So
Okay.
now here's another thought I had. I just came up with this myself. Why? Because somebody was asking on the camera chat, where's it going? And then I said, I think it's going back down to the same place. I wonder why they chose that place. It's right off of Cove Point. Do you think it's because they have accommodations and procedures for large explosions and handling that kind of stuff?
It already blew up once.
Right, but you're in a place where large tankers come in for LNG. That's what I'm saying.
So it may have been a safety precaution then.
Maybe they're putting it in an area that has procedures for explosions, and so let's
Follow that protocol. Sure.
I'm just guessing. I'm just totally guessing, just because we don't know.
Sure.
Yeah. So that was interesting to wake up to.
Yeah, totally, completely. The Brazilian Navy came to the port.
Right. And it was interesting because Sail Baltimore says, "Oh, and she's changed her time. She's coming in at 8 a.m. And then it's 4:30 in the morning in the dark, and you could barely. I mean, it was under the cover of darkness, dude. I mean, this thing, snuck into town. Well, it came in, and then it was off Seagirt Marine Terminal, in the inner Anchorage, if you will, and then went further in, I guess, at the appointed time. And I like this picture. This is cool.
Yeah, this is Alicia, one of Alicia's pictures that she took. So
cool.
Yeah.
And so, did you hear that there was actually a Coast Guard notice for lack of water today?
No.
For low water. And supposedly they had trouble docking her.
Interesting. Okay.
Supposedly there were some procedural stuff, like, and this is just secondhand because, we have, if you go to the live stream and then you read down below, there's a link to where you can actually listen to the ship traffic.
Oh, yes.
Right. And then somebody said that they were listening and that there were problems docking the ship.
Interesting. Okay.
Right. So let me just read some of this. I got some write-up about the ship, a little bit of information. The Brazilian Navy training ship, Brasil U-27, is a modern naval vessel used to train midshipmen from the Brazilian Naval Academy during international voyages that promote goodwill and maritime cooperation. Each year, she sails around the world showcasing Brazil's naval professionalism and strengthening ties with partner nations. She was a training ship ordered in 1981 as a modified version of a class frigate without weapons or sensors. So it might as well be a tall ship.
Yeah. It's like
but it's interesting because it sure looks like a frigate, you know what I mean? And so I wonder, is there
this is the Brazilian Navy's training ship, and you said that it's midshipmen from the Brazilian Naval Academy,
right?
So this is the Brazil version of Annapolis.
Yeah.
I bet you
but
that
it looks like a warship. It just doesn't have. It was designed without weapons or sensors.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Naval Academy has some training vessels, don't they? For the midshipmen.
Yes, but nothing that I know of that goes around like this that looks
correct.
Like a warship.
I was more leaning towards the funny. That would why don't they just go
Oh.
on down there to Annapolis and hey, look, my boat's bigger than yours, you know?
Well, not if you put all the YPs end to end.
That's fair.
The little YP, the little yard patrol boats that they have down there. Yeah.
Okay.
But I'm just saying, like, interesting, like, you're out on the sea, you know, let's say there's a conflict. How does somebody know that this is just a training ship promoting goodwill? Is there a certain flag that you fly? I mean, I'm really showing my shipping and military ignorance here, because it looks like a military ship,
right.
but it's just a training ship without weapons, so she can't even defend herself
I
if she
wonder.
were to get into something.
Yeah, I wonder if like the marine traffic type applications would be tracking it as a training vessel and not because I know that they're not really tracking the military vessels, but
that's a really good point. I don't know what the answer to that is.
yeah.
But I wonder if they're, like the readout or the naming or the classification. I wonder if that's different, that the military sees, when they look at something on their radar than when, us civilians are just playing around on marine traffic.
Sure, right.
I mean, it says military ops, but this is marine traffic, so I don't know. Yeah, interesting.
All righty. There was another ship that came in over the weekend, and this one was quite different looking. This was the Neoliner Origin. So we talked about this in the last episode. She is a French RoRo ship, roll on, roll off. And what is quite interesting about this ship is that it's primarily operated under sail power.
Right.
So,
which is really interesting. Now, do you think it's going a little bit too off base, saying this is kind of like proof of concept? Have you read anything that they plan to scale this up, or
a little bit? Yes. This is a kind of a test run. I mean, I know you just don't go build a ship just to go for the fun of it. Let's see if it works or not. But in this particular case, they're trying to look at multiple methods for propulsion, and so it is it does have a diesel diesel engine and does operate under diesel, but that's not the primary source of power. It's the sail power.
Right, and she's really only designed to do 12 knots.
Correct.
Right. So when we read about this and looked it up, there were a number of cargo carriers who were committed to partnering and using this ship, right?
Correct.
Because there were, people making stupid comments on the internet about, well, as long as you don't care about it getting anywhere anytime soon.
Right.
Well, that's because they've committed to using this ship, to haul their cargo. And then guess what? You plan it that way.
Correct.
So it's not there a week late. You planned it to get there a week later because you're on this special ship.
Now,
yes.
If you put something on a cargo ship, you have to consider the time sensitivity. It's not going to get there overnight. You're not going to want to put perishable items on that vessel that you have to worry about.
These things can't fly. It's got sails. What are you talking about?
I know, right? Yeah. But I mean, so that kind of is the testament to it's okay to go a little bit slower because they have figured out within their product structure and cost that they want it to go a little bit slower. It doesn't have to be to the market the very minute that it's available. So I did, however, in one of the French-based articles that was written about this, I did a Google Translate.
Nice.
It said that this particular sail design, while it's on this new vessel, it can actually be added to existing vessels to help with operations.
I think I did remember seeing that.
And
Now,
so some of the design into this ship will be used to go and retrofit other vessels if they so choose.
it's interesting because you're going to sacrifice some space. You're going to have to, you're going to have to modify that ship, right?
Correct.
From a
Let,
structural standpoint.
there's
I
I got
mean,
another picture for you because I wanted to show some of these other ones where they're actually doing some of the repair work to the sails. But this picture, I mean, you can take this is head on. You can see the sails up against the in comparison to the cranes at Dundalk Marine Terminal. It's a different looking vessel. It's
big time, very much so. And then in that picture on the right, I think that's the first panel that's vertical, and the rest of them are still folded down.
Yeah, right here. So
horizontally under it.
Yeah, these are horizontal. This is the vertical piece that's the top portion. And so it has the ability to collapse down when it comes into port, when it's going underneath a bridge to address that, the height clearance. But then it can be re-erected back up for it to go underway.
Yeah, and gosh, we should have this photo. But when they fold down like this and almost form like an X. It's kind of wild looking.
It is pretty interesting.
Yeah, and if I have, and each sail can rotate, right? Of course.
Oh, okay.
Right, and I think they can rotate like 180 degrees.
I mean, it kind of makes sense that you'd have the ability to do that.
Right. But I guess I was, and the sailors that are listening to, well, of course, you dummy. I mean, how could you do it if you couldn't? But I guess what I'm thinking is like it looks like in this picture that the sails are pointing forward. And I think that sometimes they could be pointing backwards where, when I'm thinking of a traditional sailing ship and, you don't Mike have that at BaltimoreShipWatchers.com for stupid, uneducated sailing comments. It seems to me that typically a sail is meant to be in one place or another. If you're on the other side of the mast, then you're using a different sail. It looks like this one can rotate so that you've got your one set of these hard foldable sails, and you can have it, on this side of the mast or over here on the other side. Just thought that was interesting.
Sure. Yeah.
All right. Sailors, continue laughing.
Yeah, onward. There you go. A couple other pictures from this. So they did have some repair work that they were doing on one of the sails. It was interesting to see this picture where you got folks working on it, full harness. So I happened to see somebody mentioned how clean the lines were organized and tied up, and it is a new ship, so it's
yeah.
But to see the sails stacked, I mean, that's what 10 feet tall of sails stacking there.
But when you look at the picture on the left, doesn't it look like they're tied down with the blue lines? Like the sails are tied down with the blue line.
Yeah, there is a blue ratchet on there, and then you can also see. I'd have to see the full rigging.
Right, of course, yeah. But still, I found that interesting.
That is interesting.
Now, what also I find interesting, and then did you watch the article or watch the video where the guy was talking about it took them 10 years to make this happen?
Yes.
Right. Which is really interesting, because it,
And that's from concept to design
Yes.
to
From
manufacture to
right, all that.
actually, getting it across the Atlantic.
Right, and finding partnerships and raising the money, right, to because I'm sure it wasn't cheap.
Right.
We're going to throw some money at this concept. Who wants on board?
I
Right.
find it interesting that the routing, the only places that I've seen that it's been named to come in the U.S. is to Baltimore.
Oh, really?
Now,
It's
if I
not
start
going.
I haven't seen any other ports of call in the U.S. and they've specifically named Baltimore. But let's think about this. I think we've already answered the question here.
Okay.
Who's top on the East Coast for RoRo? It's us in Brunswick, and they're not. They're probably not going to go all the way down to Brunswick. I don't know what manufacturers they're aligned with, so they may already have some strategies in place with those product suppliers here in Baltimore. But one of the things that we've kind of used as a selling point is that we're 24 to 48 hours to the Ohio Valley from the port. We're
Right.
we're a shorter distance to the Ohio Valley, but that means that the vessels have to travel further. This vessel, it's not as much of an issue because it's primarily sail powered, and then they probably don't have some of the time constraints that other vessel steamship lines are under. We're probably the best port for them to be able to operate in this capacity and probably at the cost that they maintain and the 11, 12 knots that they have to operate around.
Well, and here's another thing. We have two places in this port that I know of, two, not just one. I thought it was only one, but so berth 13 at Dundalk Marine Terminal, and then at the end of the dock, South Locust Point. So the opposite end from where the cruise ships are, right? They added a little section that juts out. So
I did notice that here recently.
right. So that somebody told me about that. I think it was a guy at the port that hangs out on the camera chat that told me about that. And so if you have a stern ramp like this one, now maybe there aren't a whole lot of places that have ability to just back up and unload a straight stern ramp like this. I don't know. But she's on her way to France now. Oh,
correct.
Can you go back?
Yeah.
So I'm going to show my sailing ignorance once again. So see the chrome and black bobbin, for lack of a better term, with the yellow line on it?
Right here.
Right there. Is that like a manual backup to raise those sails manually? Okay.
I don't know.
Sailors, pick yourself up off the floor. I know you just laughed a huge belly laugh and fell out of your chair and broke your hip. And I apologize.
I don't know that that's that far fetched of a question, though. I mean, like, this is a cargo ship specifically designed for this particular.
Right.
I would think they would have some redundancies in place like that, and that are quite different than any other kind of sailing ship that's out there. But again, you know more than I do about this stuff. So,
but look at that black cable tray coming out of the back of the up there. Yeah,
all the technology that's tied into it is impressive.
Right, and now think about salt spray and where those connections are, because they're not outside there.
Yep.
Right. For some reason, they wanted to be able to bring that out and then back in, probably for the rotation capability or something. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. But you better believe that the connections aren't out there in the air. I would imagine they aren't.
Right.
Anyway, fascinating stuff to look at.
Yeah, so this is what I wanted to show you. This is the back end of what you were just talking about
Mm-hmm. The
with
business end, if you will.
the business end. That is correct. Yeah. Well, that's where they're conducting all their business.
That's right.
Hold on, you got to see this picture.
Wow,
There you
look at
go.
that.
Double stack on a Mafi.
That's wild. Now look at the angle of that. And it's going to come down that ramp, and wow, that's wild.
So I thought that was interesting to see a RoRo ship. But if you look at it, we talked about the vessel, the size or the structure of the vessel is going to be different because of the sails. And actually,
Right.
you can see in this picture here, the sails are down and cross like what you were explaining.
Ah, there we go.
But if you look at like other RoRo ships, they'll have multiple levels. I don't know that this thing has all the extra levels like what
Yeah.
like the Wallenius Wilhelmsen ships or the NYK ships that come in. You got a
Right.
limited amount and type of cargo. However, this thing is so big that you can drive a a double stack container on a Mafi through into it.
That's wild.
Pretty interesting. So
Yeah, so but so if these are the masts and the sails that are folded up, right? And then this whole thing pivots.
yeah.
And that's what you're kind of looking at here in that
you can.
photo.
Yep.
Yeah, so that's really interesting. So not only do you have to have the sail secure, but when they're just stacked under their own weight, they're self-supporting, right? But
Right.
now when you tilt them down, then they're at what, 60 degrees?
Yeah, that was about the angle. Yeah.
You've got to have a way to secure them so that they're not flopping out of there.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting engineering.
So there's some cool shots from Dead Rise Marine photography.
Yeah, man, he takes some great photos. When he's not out there, I miss it because he has a unique perspective and always catches some great angles.
The Coast Guard yard is close to their completion of their Buoy Tender Program.
Right. So, they do all this maintenance work or like extension of life work on all these different Coast Guard vessels. And, they come from all over the U.S. to the Coast Guard yard, the only Coast Guard yard in the United States here in Baltimore, right? And they'll strip the hull down and replace electronics and they do all kinds of work on, and some of these boats are 20, 30, 40 years old. So they need work. So this was interesting. I'm going to just go ahead and read this write-up I have here. So the United States Coast Guard buoy tender Hollyhock is back in service and at work in the Pacific, where she will maintain the services aids to navigation in Hawaii and far-flung island territories. So that's interesting. Whenever I think of Coast Guard, to me, it means Coast Guard,
Right.
And so every time I hear that their Coast Guard is out in the ocean, hundreds of miles away from the coast, then my brain goes, what? The vessel, last of the 16 Juniper class hulls to complete midlife refit and life extension, and the class-wide overhaul program is now complete on time and under budget. So that's impressive for our local facility here, like right around the corner.
Absolutely.
For Hollyhock, the 800-day-long refit.
Wow.
Let that sink in for a moment. It's at 2.5 years.
Yeah.
Included upgraded machinery, control systems, propellers, HVAC, along with hull repairs and replacement of obsolete equipment. Reliability and uptime will be key in the vast distances of the Pacific when deployed on foreign assistance missions to help out with buoy servicing in remote island chains. I thought this is really cool. Hollyhock will often be the only American presence of any kind.
Wow.
Right? So just think about you're thousands of miles from home and you're doing this maintenance work and helping people to get to, U.S. territories, I'm going to presume.
Mm-hmm.
And you're it on the water. So it's an interesting feeling to think about. Our arrival enhances the Coast Guard's capacity to maintain vital navigational aids that facilitate the safe flow of maritime commerce. This is especially crucial in Hawaii, where more than 90% of goods arrive by sea. So, and that's just one boat, right? That's just one boat. But they did do 16 of these buoy tenders, including, the local James Rankin was, went through this process right at her own yard where she's stationed, which was kind of cool. Kind of cool to think about, I think.
Absolutely. That's interesting. The good work that the Coast Guard's doing here locally.
Right. Yeah.
Also, you got some information on the P-520, the U.S. Army Air Force patrol boat.
Right. Right. So, and people might say the what? The U.S.
Right.
Army Air Force, right? So, if we go back in our history and Army Air Force pilots, please don't, bomb our neighborhood because I make a statement. That's incorrect, right? But so before the Air Force was broken out, it was part of the Army. I think that's what.
Correct. My grandfather was in the ATC. That's the Air Transport Command in the Army Air Force, and this was during World War II before they split those branches into what we know today.
Right. So this is what they like to call a crash boat. So this would go out and rescue pilots. We're talking about 80 years of history of rescuing pilots. A wooden boat that's 85 feet long with 2 diesel engines that would, go out like a giant speedboat and rescue pilots. It even has like a little infirmary in the back, and so they have baskets so they can, the basket that you would see them like you'd see somebody lift up on like a helicopter or something, right? So they even have baskets so you can put the pilots in and get them up on board. And so anyway, so the backstory is that she came to the area from California years ago, maybe 5 years ago. Those fellows who brought it here recruited a bunch of people, raised some money, and then they found out they weren't a nonprofit. They were not good stewards of the money. And one of the guys who was helping out actually eventually took over the boat. It was uninsurable. It had hull damage. Was able to get the money together and put it in it, find a local yard that did wooden hull work like this, could do wooden hull work like this on an 80-year-old boat, and got the hull certified so he could get insurance. Right? It's a right. So, if you want to have visibility and you want to, run the boat and you want people to be able to ride on it, and, you want to run a nonprofit and, have folks, show their appreciation to veterans and, and, donate money for causes. And so the first thing you got to do, you got to get insurance. How do you do that? The hull's got to be certified. How do you do that? You got to get repairs. How do you do that? A lot of money.
Right.
Anyway, so she is going to be participating in some things in Cambridge. which is where they built some of these boats, and the rails that they launched some of these boats on are still there and
Oh,
still in
cool.
use. Right. So there's an incredible historical tie in there. This boat was not made there, but several crash boats that are twins or sister
Sure.
ships were made there. Here, so I've got a little bit of a write up here. Come and show your support for the veterans and the 85-foot World War II and Korean War U.S. Army Air Force Patrol crash boat P-520 at the VFW in Cambridge, Saturday, November 15th. So this is the weekend after Veterans Day. They're going to, from 12 to noon, there's a reception and a special cruise. This is a private cruise for World War II and Korean War veterans. Come take pictures with the vets and prior to their departure and honor their legacy. This will give them a wonderful send-off for their well-deserved cruise on the Choptank River in Cambridge. We will begin gathering at City Dock in Cambridge around 10 a.m. and then departing on the P-520 between 11 a.m. and noon. These are our oldest veterans. Please come send them off to honor them for their historic service.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah. Then later on the day, there's a bull roast. 6 to 9 p.m. barbecue supplied by a local Cambridge place and cash bar. Remember, this is a fundraiser. Come join evening visiting and taking pictures with veterans, listening to their stories and testimonies. Proceeds will go to the Special Warfare and Rescue Vessel Foundation, a registered 501c3. Among the veterans will be honoring veteran Otis Brannon, the latest World War II crash boat veteran. He will discuss his service at the event.
Oh,
so how cool is that? You've got this historical boat that's still around from 80 years ago, made of wood, still runs in the location where they actually made some of these boats. And they're going to have a guy who is the last World War II crash boat veteran who's going to be there you can actually talk to.
that's pretty cool.
Some pretty cool tie-ins. We'll also be honoring the late Cambridge resident, Lois Woodland Sparks. She served aboard served aboard 85-foot crash boat P-564, part of the first OSS Special Operation Maritime Unit. These dangerous missions took place in China, Burma, and India theater during World War II. Their mission on board the P-564 were considered the origins of the U.S. Navy SEALs.
Interesting.
Right? So, we've got all this cool stuff going on, all these cool tie-ins. If you love history, please go check it out. They have I'm sure you can Google them. There's a, now here it is. I think this is when they first pulled her out of the water and got her up on the
just a couple of shots here of them pulling it out of the water, and then the underside. You can see all the wood and the paint, like right up in here. You can see the old wood, and this is where they put the primer on it,
right?
The seal.
And I just want to point out that she still needs work. They only worked on the water part of the hull. Right. The rest of it still needs paint and fixing. And so, that's part of the reason why they're having some of this as a fundraiser. It's a great event to go to, and it has a great historical meaning, but they're also hoping to raise some money too. Very cool.
So that's all very interesting.
November 15th in Cambridge.
All right. Do we want to move on to what's been happening with the Key Bridge? There's been a tremendous amount.
Right.
First, you sent me a picture that you wanted everybody to see.
Right. And so what we're looking at here are two of the large cranes that are out there doing the test pile program work. Okay. And what you're looking at are the southern portions of the two major towers. Okay. So they started off in the left-hand location, and I think they put in 6 test piles there.
Right here.
Right. And then they started to work on the eastern location, I guess I'll say, on the right. And I think they did 2 in one day, which was a lot, because there's a lot that goes into it that we covered last time. But then the big crane went back over to the original position, and I think they're getting ready to load that test frame onto the first set of pilings. But then this is afterward, and then the big crane went back over to the right again today. So it's a very dynamic situation if you're watching every day. So let me just run through some stuff. So I wish I had this picture, but off to the left, when you see what's left of the Key Bridge, I know I have a picture somewhere, and we didn't spend enough time preparing. 3 hours is not enough. But there are sections of that roadway, not the concrete, that's been gone for a while, but the beams, and there are 4 whole sections of beams that are gone.
Yeah.
There's just vertical concrete supports. So they are actively taking down the beams and, taking the old Key Bridge apart. And then the tugboat that brings the test piles from Louisiana or Texas has gone back to get more.
Okay.
So that's a constant process. Yeah, there's just a lot going on out there. So this was interesting. There's a lawsuit update. And one of the victims of the Key Bridge, one of the construction workers that lost his life, we had talked about this last time. It's interesting how, I guess, somebody has to go first. So Mr. Castillo Cabrera, his lawyer spent hours behind closed doors in Baltimore's federal courthouse on Monday negotiating a settlement. The magistrate, this isn't a long story, but the magistrate judge then asked reporters to leave the courtroom because the discussions involving the groups of lawyers are intended to be confidential.
So they're working through that process then.
Yeah.
I'll be curious to see what
just happens to be the first person.
I'll be curious to see what they do end up explaining or stating. I know that it's this probably is going to be confidential, but curious what the message will be once it's finalized and it's done, and then what the rest of the court cases do with that information from that point forward.
What do you mean when you say what the message will be? What do you?
If they're negotiating a settlement, it's quite possible that they will put some type of gag order, or I don't know what the proper term would be, to say this lawsuit has been finalized and that's it. And they won't disclose, any more specifics or dollar amounts or anything like that. And my gut is that something along those lines will take place. But there is also, that will be the precedence from for the rest of the court cases, also what gets defined in this court case. And so I'll be curious to see what publicly gets communicated versus privately among all of the lawyers and the alike.
Right. And where my mind was going with that was knowing basically zero about the process. And it'd be great to have Alex on at some point when we can.
When we can, yeah.
Yeah. So I was thinking that, geez, they're probably thinking, okay, what number, because whatever number we give out, we're going to have to multiply it. But then I was thinking, well, if there's a gag order, then how does the other families know what the number is?
Right.
Yeah, interesting to learn about that process and what information is shared and what isn't and why and how all that works.
Right. Along with the Key Bridge news, there's also been some new or updates or new renditions or updates to the bridge design.
Mm-hmm. Man, that's cool.
That's quite interesting.
Yep.
So there's a couple of shots here that the Key Bridge rebuild folks and MDTA created.
Mm-hmm.
This is a nighttime shot.
Yeah, I love that.
I think this perspective is from the eastern side, where your Trade Point Atlantic, probably right about the point of the end of the Amazon warehouse, right there, looking back.
I think so.
We've kind of seen something similar to this before, but
that's like before they put the curve in it. Not that you can really tell, but
correct.
Maybe it isn't.
It's a little bit, but what I find interesting is,
if you look at the eastern side, I think you can see where it lands off an angle to that causeway.
Yeah.
Or maybe I'm imagining it. Anyway, go ahead.
This is from Fort Armistead.
Pretty dramatic.
And that's this particular shot looks a little more realistic to me than the computer generated ones.
Right.
Still a massive bridge.
Right. Yeah. It's interesting to see the curve on the other side, on the eastern side, where there wasn't a curve before.
All right, here we go.
Oh, this is cool, man.
Yeah, so this is their website, and some of the picture, the graphics that you have in the background of their website are pretty.
Look
to see that picture with all the vehicles moving.
That thing looks huge.
Yeah, there's this overhead shot where you got Fort Carroll here, and then there's a picture of it where you have looking up above, and you can see Dundalk Marine Terminal on the left, Trade Point Atlantic, and you could see the strong curve coming there by the old toll booth, and I'm like, that's a little bit too real for me to.
Oh, really? Look at that! It just looks that looks just monstrous to me.
Monstrous,
right?
Yeah. In perspective, so the Ravenel Bridge in Charleston, South Carolina, has a very similar feel to that as you are driving across it, and you how big it is, and then just the size, and and that you got all of these vehicles going across it all at once. It's just impressive.
It's going to be amazing.
So that was
very
another
cool.
Another picture that was pretty cool.
Very cool. So, and I think we're bearing the lead here, because I'm pretty sure that they were saying that like the end of December to January would be the 70 percentile design time frame. And we had joked with Jim, well, when's the next time you can come on? Jim Harkness, chief engineer, MDTA. And he's like, yeah, I think I can do that. So, and then just today, I think it was today, WJZ says that they're at about the 70% level now, and that they will have design complete by the end of November, which to me is a huge jump.
Right.
A huge jump. So I'm just going to go ahead and read this. Harkness said the design is nearly 70% complete, expected to be done at the end of the month. Until then, the completion date and final cost tally cannot be finalized. However, assured reporters on a tour of the worksite that everyone involved is working at a breakneck speed, advancing multiple aspects of the rebuild on top of finalizing the design to ensure the fall 2028 goal is met.
Wow.
I
So
really thought that was going to get pushed out.
I did too.
And if I may, because I saw a proposal or an estimate that had a later date on it. He said, Chief Engineer Jim Harkness said, in other cases, some teams could have taken years to get to this point. So I think, I'm always joking around about, the inflatable red gas station guy. What? The people on the internet, I mean, they forget that, when you build a bridge, there's years of planning and design and building and manufacture that goes into all this stuff just showing up and bolting it together.
Right.
Right. Well, how do you think all that stuff got here? Well, because they've been working on it for years and designing it for years. And, and with a tragic accident, you're forced to just, okay, let's go design something, and now you really see how long it actually takes.
Right.
Especially when you find old concrete from the old bridge and you need to move your new bridge 260 feet to the south and put another curve into it that you didn't plan on.
Right.
Yeah. So, gosh, a lot has been happening as far as Key Bridge status is concerned.
Sure. All right. We have some upcoming events that we need to let everybody know about. Mm-hmm. First, the NE Brasil. We were just at the top of the podcast talked about it. It is here through November the 11th. Be docking at Fells Point out of the Broadway Pier. And so during the weekend, there is a welcome ceremony, but there's also free deck tours on Saturday and Sunday and Monday. And so that'll be a really cool opportunity. You want to go get on a vessel and take a tour, that would be an opportunity for that. Also, the Port of Baltimore is advertising a virtual town hall meeting to discuss double stack containers. So about 3 weeks ago or so, I was down at the Howard Street Tunnel when CSX had their grand opening for just the tunnel itself. They still have some more work to do up between here and Philly before it all becomes full double stack. And so they're going to have an opportunity for representatives from Ports America Chesapeake, CSX, and the Port of Baltimore. You can see Jonathan Daniels, Mark Schmidt, and Drew Johnson. They'll be on a virtual call. And so you can listen in and find out what kind of business is going to be happening with the double stack rail opportunities. So that's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. You ready?
Yep.
Also, the nuclear ship Savannah has a public site visit coming up. So come experience a time capsule at the atomic age. The world's first nuclear-powered merchant ship, the nuclear ship Savannah, will host a public site visit on November the 15th. The Savannah was built as part of President Eisenhower's Atoms for Peace program and served as a floating ambassador promoting the safe and peaceful use of nuclear power from 1962 to 1970. The ship will be open from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. on November the 15th, where you can experience its mid-century modern interiors with atomic motifs, engine and control rooms, and other spaces, just like the passengers and visitors did during its operation. In addition, you can take a self-guided tour of the containment vessel, which housed the nuclear reactor, a truly unique experience. The Savannah is located at 4601 Newgate Avenue, Pier 13 in Canton Marine Terminal. So if you would like to attend, please note that there are no open-toed shoes, and the ship has limited accessibility for those with disabilities. So for more information and to RSVP, visit www.ns. Let me start that over. For more information and to RSVP to attend the tour, visit www.ns-savannah.com/upcoming events. So if you're interested in
RSVP is required, right?
What's that?
The RSVP is required.
Yes,
right?
It is required. Please RSVP. It's free, but you still have to sign up. So make sure you go to their website. This is your opportunity to go visit the vessel. If by chance you are interested in where the vessel is going to be here very shortly after it finishes its decommissioning, you will want to go talk with Erhard Kohler and the rest of the team on the Savannah to discuss what opportunities might exist for that ship to exist after that point.
Right. Yeah, so go down and check this out because your opportunities to see the ship are counting down.
That is correct.
She might be leaving town at some point, and we all have lives, and there was a really cool thing that happened tonight. They gave a talk about the ferry, the Claiborne that went to Love Point way back in the day. And that would have been a cool thing to do, but you can't do everything. But I would encourage you to go check out the Savannah. It is a really cool thing to set foot on that ship. The design and the inside and the decoration and how it looks from the 50s and 60s is really cool. And I think we really got our historical people covered, right? Because the P-520 is also on the 15th. So if you're a World War II and you love wooden boats and those type of things, you're going to Cambridge. If you're fascinated by sleek lines and nuclear power, then you're going to Canton. We got you covered.
There you go. All right. Also, our buddy Josh Messick at the Baltimore International Seafarers Center, he has the St. Nicholas Fun Run. This can be a virtual 5K or a drop-in 5K around Fort McHenry. And so if you're interested in running and supporting the Baltimore International Seafarers Center, please visit their website and sign up and go run.
Sounds good.
All right. In the Port of Baltimore history segment, in 1931, the USS Constitution. So this is not our Constellation. Not our Constellation. This is the USS Constitution, or also known as Old Ironsides, visited Baltimore as part of a multi-year national tour following its restoration. The ship was towed to a berth in Fells Point, where it was open for public viewing, attracting large crowds and making the beginning of its journey around the U.S. Coast to thank its citizens for funding its repairs. The USS Constitution and a crew of 81 officers, sailors, and Marines set off on a 3-year, 3-coast tour around the U.S.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. It was also a public thank you to all the, and this was quoted, men, women, and children from 1925 to 1930 that donated their pennies, nickels, and dimes that eventually raised $154,000 for Old Ironsides. So it's pretty interesting to learn about this. The USS Grebe was the minesweeper that helped towed the Constitution around on its tour.
That's amazing, because I get it. It's been another 90 years, right? We don't think about
Sure.
1931 and now it's been another. But I mean, there is no way they are towing this ship around today.
Right.
I mean, she's still actively commissioned, right? So,
Correct.
which is a fascinating thing on its own. And she does go out. But, you know, just the fact that they towed this thing around at these great distances is pretty fascinating to me. You know, just knowing how we treat her now and how we treat our constellation, and you know, how careful we are, and they're dragging this thing all over North America. You know, it's just
So this was so what I have here is a map of
Mhm.
that 3-year stint and all of the different ports of
Unbelievable.
call that it made. It did go through the Panama Canal. So that would have been kind of cool to see some pictures of it
Wow,
going through.
right? You're reading my mind. Where are the photos of that?
Yeah, so I did try to find some pictures of it of the vessel in Baltimore during that time frame. There was some up in Boston, and there was some in New Orleans, but I could not find any for Baltimore. So, but I did find this handwritten and drawn map of all the different ports of call, and it's detailed, down to the actual days, and a little
Wow.
summary and testimony of everything that went on it. So it was pretty neat to find that. So,
It's wild.
and that's all I have for tonight.
Okay. So, hey, we're Baltimore and Chesapeake Bay Shipwatchers. We're a local maritime advocacy group. We're trying to teach folks about everything that goes on at the Port of Baltimore. And we try to reach out to folks in as many different ways as we can. We're on Facebook. We have Facebook group. We have a couple different Facebook pages. We've got our own Two Guys Talking Ship Facebook page. We're on Twix, shout out Amy Lawrence, Instagram, Reddit, Threads, all over social media. Don't forget about our website, BaltimoreShipWatchers.com, with links to the podcast, the live stream, all kinds of shipping links, former press stories that we've made the news on, all kind of maps about the port, a whole new page about range lights, which are the lights that the ships use to line up to know that they're in the channel. There's 5 sets of them coming into the port north of the Bay Bridge that the ships utilize. And then we have a merch page. And as we're getting into the holiday season, as a part of our fundraising, if you would love to get your favorite ship watcher a little something that they might like, we have trucker caps, we have pastel baseball caps, we have t-shirts, ladies t-shirts, sweatshirts, like drink glasses, stemless wine glasses with the logo on it, just all kinds of cool stuff that you can order and will come right to your house.
And if you want to hear the audio version of this, we're on Spotify and Apple Podcasts.
And supposedly nobody listens to Spotify. I don't know.
Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
We saw some stats that said nobody's listening on Spotify whatsoever. The number was 0. I mean, something's probably up with that. I don't know.
Yeah, have to figure it out.
It's just funny.
Yeah. All right. All right. So, what causes some boats to become party boats?
You got me. Hit me.
Peer pressure.
Boom, boom. Thank you, sir.
All right, everybody. On that note, we will head on out. Let's count this one off. 3, 2, 1. Happy ship
watching. All right, everybody. Hope you enjoyed the podcast. We'll see you on the next one.